So I was reading an article. Recent Gallup data shows that having a best friend at work has become more important since the pandemic.
Welcome to It Doesn't Take a Genius. A quick tip before we get started. Nervous public speakers have often used the trick of visualizing their audiences in their underwear to calm their nerves. You may want to try that as you watch Mark and Mike. After all, neither one of them is wearing pants. Just saying.
Ramsey!
Marshall, welcome to part 3 of our exciting episodes around, well, Q12. I mean, that doesn't sound quite as sexy when you just say Q12, but I guess when you say the keys to employee engagement, it sounds better. Is that better?
But yeah, in a dramatic announcer voice, Q12, keys to employee engagement. Part 3. Sunday. No, that's not it. All right. So yeah, we're cranking along. Episode one was about management stuff, clarity and resources. Episode 2, we talked about just basic human needs, just things that carbon-based life forms just need to exist in groups.
Some a little surprising, but definitely needs when you really think about it.
Oh yeah,
and now
definitely.
Part 3.
Part 3. I'm calling this belonging and the greater good.
Belonging and the greater good. I would agree with that title.
So this will
just
take
a
us
few to cover here.
Yeah, this will take us through, if you're following along at home, 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah. Okay.
On your bingo cards.
And I guess, before we start this, it's maybe this is a way to frame it a little bit. Like you said, the first one is basic stuff that just has to be there for an organization, for employees to feel like they can do what they need to do. The second one, a lot of those questions really did revolve around kind of the dignity issue of, that I'm getting treated like somebody who's an individual and not a number. And this one is not so inward focused, it's the outward focus. It's like the thing that I'm a part of here is something special. Not just me, but the thing that I'm a part of is something special. So with that being said, you want to launch into statement 8?
No, it's an excellent point. Yeah, the greater good, right? Something beyond me and my personal needs and wants. Question 8. Does the mission/purpose of my company make me feel my job is important? Does the mission purpose of my company make me feel my job is important? Strongly agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree. Wow. Yeah. So
go ahead.
What's incumbent in that question is you have a mission or a purpose.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Right. Bold assumption on the part of Gallup to say, hey, we're assuming you have this. And if so, do I feel like, when I work there, do I feel like I'm contributing to that purpose?
Right. And this has been, studied for a while, especially with millennials, that, a millennial would probably rank purpose over salary and benefits. I mean, sure, pay everybody enough to take the money issue off the table, but if all things being equal, if there's an organization where they can be a part of a purpose that they buy into, they're on board. And that doesn't necessarily mean, saving wildlife, right? Like there's a number of different things that could be a purpose worth being a part of. We're going to change this industry. We're going to make a difference in this community. I mean, there's a lot of broad things that could be a part of that purpose, but especially with millennials, I think we know that that actually matters. Gallup says that it'll reduce your absenteeism by 34%, 41% drop in patient safety incidents. So I think that's more for the medical field, but again, worth noting, kind of a big deal. And overall improvement in quality, 19% improvement in quality. So millennials aren't the only ones that want this. We know specifically that millennials have that's been studied for a while now. But just the idea of something bigger than what I am just by myself, this is something I want to be a part of.
Oh yeah, and we talk about we talk to companies and And we talked to them about being intentional with this.
Yeah.
You have a mission and a purpose, either by default, this is what we do and this is what people have figured out it is,
Yeah.
or by intention. And you say, all right, this is who we want to be, and this is how we want to do business, and this is our purpose. And then we go make, that happen. We align
Yeah.
our behaviors and decisions up to make that purpose more likely to become a reality.
And probably painting that picture a little bit, right? So telling some stories about the impact we had on an end user, a customer, a client, explaining the story behind the need that we're fulfilling, giving people a sense at the employee level of what they are a part of. And we've told a story, and man, I bet this was the first year of the podcast. We talked about building a cathedral with Sir Christopher Wren, the old story that, there's a stone cutter. Sir Christopher Wren is this architect, in ancient times, I forget, Elizabethan era, something like that. And he dresses up in common clothes. He's this, world-class architect, and he's visiting St. Paul's Cathedral that he builds, the famous building in London. And he goes to this stone cutter who's just chink, chink, chink. And he says, "Hey, what are you doing?" He says, "I'm cutting stone." And then he goes a little bit further into the cathedral building, and there's somebody else, chink, 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 chink. Says, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm earning 2 pence an hour." And he goes around the corner, and there's this guy in the corner working on a block that will not even be seen outwardly facing. It's going to be buried inside the wall of the building, and he's just going to town and sweating and whistling while he works, and just having this amazing work ethic. And Sir Christopher Wren walks up and says, "Hey, what are you doing?" He says, "I'm building with Sir Christopher Wren a magnificent cathedral to the glory of God." That guy's a little more turned on and engaged than some of the other folks, right? Because he sees the big picture, he sees the purpose. That's what you have to make the connection for, because the first two guys could maybe have that experience too, but they maybe weren't connecting the dots about what they were a part of. So it's on the part of leadership to go and make sure those dots can be connected and share those stories.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Does leadership, can they clearly enunciate the purpose?
Right.
Have they thought it through to that point? And then are they, to your point, right? Are they sharing stories? Are they making decisions? Are they talking about it in such a way that I can see my connection to that?
That's it.
I remember the story. I don't know if it's true or not, but the story of in the mid '60s, John F. Kennedy had said, we want to, get a man to the moon, and it was at the very beginning of this, and he was walking through NASA, and he ran into a janitor, and he says, what do you do here? And he says, "Well, I'm helping put a man on the moon."
I love it.
And I do.
I want that to be true.
Yeah. I'm sweeping floors. I'm keeping the trash cans empty. All of that contributes to we're putting a man on the moon.
Darn right.
Right. And the mission and purpose, and we've talked about this over the years, right? It can be the arbiter of productive and non-productive behaviors.
Yeah.
So if you've got that clear mission and purpose, you can go to somebody and say, "Hey, what you did, right, that perfectly aligns with who we are, who we want to be. Thank you." And if somebody's off track, you can go to them and just ask the question, all right, is what you're doing, is that moving us closer or further away from achieving our purpose?
Right.
And now all of a sudden, I become self-policing. The mission, the purpose becomes the guiding thing. And if I feel like I'm contributing to that, Gallup says, right, all the good stuff that you talked about will happen.
Yeah. So back to the millennial comment, and we'll move on to the next question. Millennials were sort of stereotyped as being easily turned on by something that was like, we're saving the world. And I can tell you from experience, having, watched a youth group over the last 15 plus years, Gen Z, not so much. They're like, my older brothers, they didn't save any money. They're so busy having experiences. They're poor. I'm only saving some money. But having said that, you can, like you said, once it's clear what the mission and vision is, what the purpose is, you can go to somebody and say, "You're moving us toward it. You're moving us away from it." They can clearly see the impact that their actions are having on the organization and on the the mission fulfillment. So this does work indeed for anybody. That's why it's one of the 12 questions.
Oh yeah. I remember, yeah, my daughter was in high school. She was leaving the house and I was looking at her outfit. She was wearing an Ivory Ella sweatshirt, which part of the money goes to save elephants. She was wearing those shoes. I can't remember if they're Bob's or Tom's.
Tom's.
Tom's, right? Every pair of shoes you bought, she had on the socks where they donate a pair of socks to every pair you buy. She was wearing these handmade Pura Vida bracelets that supported women in Costa Rica.
Sure.
All of it she bought with her own money. And
yeah,
exceptionally frugal, but she would buy, she would spend her own money if she thought it also had a greater purpose.
Yeah.
And so I think these younger people are purpose driven. They are purpose maximizers, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Were those Bombas socks? Is that the name of the socks?
I think Bombas. They gave a pair to.
They give a pair to the homeless or to a shelter at the same time that you buy a pair is the shtick. But I will say, I was given some of those socks as a gift and I bought more. They were phenomenal socks. I will just say that for the record. Wasn't just a cheap gimmick on that one. Anyway, all right. So question 9. Are we ready for this one?
We are. Question 9. Are my associates or fellow employees committed to doing quality work? Are my associates or fellow employees committed to doing quality work? Strongly agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree. Wow, the strongly disagree, right? So if I'm surrounded, if it's my belief that I'm surrounded by a whole bunch of people who are just dialing it in, as the kids say.
Yep.
Wow. How hard would it be to be an engaged employee surrounded by that?
Gallup says it's a 6-to-1 ratio on being upset with a proficient coworker who doesn't try versus a guy who tries hard and has less ability. It's 6-to-1.
So what do you mean by 6-to-1?
6-to-1 more frustrated, more upset
okay.
with the folks that are dialing it in versus the folks that are trying hard and not succeeding.
Well, and it's easy to see, right? All this stuff is contagious.
Right.
What is it? You're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yep.
So if I'm going to hang around 5 disengaged, unmotivated people at work, there's a good chance I will become the 6th.
Right.
Right. So yeah, if I hang around those 5, I'm going to be the 6th. Right. Which I would think, and we've seen it, works the opposite. If I am somewhat engaged and I hang around 5 highly engaged people, I will either become the 6th or I will leave.
Yeah.
I will want to, I'll gravitate towards that, or I'll go, wow, I'm in the wrong spot. Either way, the company is okay with that. I remember, and I've seen it a few different times. They'll be interviewing somebody, decorated a Marine, and they'll ask him, so all right, so why the Marines? And they always have the similar answer, and something along the lines of, well, I knew if I wanted to serve, I wanted to serve with the best.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that if I was going to put myself in danger and had to depend on the people around me, no offense to the regular Army guys, but I wanted to be with the guys that wanted to be more and do more in regards to their military service and their capabilities. So I chose Marines. So I could be surrounded by people doing higher quality work.
Yeah, and that was the phrase that immediately popped into my head when I first read the question back in the day on the Q12 was, this is the band of brothers. That everybody wants to be a part of that band of brothers. That's, we few, we happy few. We know how to get the job done. We know what we're doing. We're doing good work here. And again, that's a more engaged employee. Turnover, absenteeism, customer engagement, profitability. I mean, even downstream of, what it does to me about wanting to show up for work more, it's having an impact on, my quality and the work that I'm producing and attracting customers and doing higher profitable work. I do think that, that band of brothers thing it's not measured in this question, but it's like a band of brothers can also be a den of thieves. So this one is,
Nice.
yeah, I mean, and I didn't come up with that. C.S. Lewis said that, I think, originally, but the committed to doing quality work. I've seen, this is awful to say, but I've seen organizations where people are uh, fleecing customers, but they're really good at it. And they kind of have a professional pride with each other that, like, man, you really took his head off, right? So, like, you can be engaged on this question, and it's not like if this is all and the other 12 aren't a part of this mix, you got a problem, right? You got a
Mhm.
problem. So, for what that's worth, I want to say that out loud. Let's just assume moral organizations going forward to some degree, but
Yeah, that
uh,
quality work means ethical, morally
right,
responsible. Yeah, contributing to mankind's greater good. Let's just go with that.
yeah.
Yeah, for
Not
this.
members of the torture guild, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, he was
Bob
so.
does tremendous work.
Oh yeah, yeah. He sucked one whole year of a guy's life away just by turning the machine up a notch. Yeah, it was amazing. And we experienced this. So you and
Yeah,
I have been part of projects where we were paired up with amazingly talented people.
yep,
And we'd go and we'd meet for a week at some conference with all these our peers
yep,
that we saw as heads and tails better than us. And I always called it Dirt Week.
yep,
It's like, okay, I spent a week around these amazing people. I just feel like dirt. I feel
yep.
like I got to step up my game. I got to be more, do more. I got to innovate. I got to just bring a better version of myself to the work. And so, yeah, hanging around those quality people definitely challenged us to be more.
100%. Many of those people, mentors. Many
Mm-hmm.
of those people, friends.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see
Ooh.
what I did there? Did you see what
Segue
I did there,
alert.
Marshall?
Segue alert. All right, question 10.
This is the one that's going to be controversial.
This one always kills me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I have a best friend at work? I'll repeat it again. Do I
Hmm.
have a best friend at work? Strongly agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree. We're not here to make friends. This is a job, right? I mean, how many times have we heard this? I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money. Yeah. Well, and you can almost hear within that, how loyal is that guy
Yeah.
for a place,
Yeah.
right? Because it sounds to me like, okay, I have no connection to anyone here. It's all about the money. So if somebody offers me a nickel less and doesn't lengthen my commute, see ya.
Yep.
I'm out of here.
Well, band of brothers in the question before this one, and we're measuring, you know, possibly a mercenary situation here, right? You don't have brothers, you don't have friends. This is just like, it's just a job, man.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that, by the way. I mean, I don't think that in and of itself is like, wow, what a terrible employee. Um, I would challenge a Christian who said that and say, Paul said in everything you do, do all for the glory of God. So I hope you're bringing your A game, even if it's quote unquote just a job.
Mm-hmm.
But having said that, this seems to be measuring beyond that and saying, well, no, there's something a little bit special that happens. You're engaged at a level you wouldn't normally be if you've got work friends.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Well, I'm at the ripe old age where many of my people I went to school with, my peers and stuff like that, are retiring,
yeah,
and so they're all making these retirement posts, and all the posts speak, to some degree about the great friends and great friendships that were made
yep,
at work.
yep,
And these people are now a part of their lives, and
yep,
people from people will give a shout out to people from previous jobs.
yeah,
Everybody that I worked with when I was 10 years at such and such, we're still friends, and we still hang out. And then my current work friends, it's made the job enjoyable. It's allowed me to succeed. They just write and write and write about these friendships over the last 45 years that have been so powerful to them, that began at work.
Began at work. You and I sitting down at a hotel bar, and I would say we easily spend about an hour on Zoom before we press the record button doing these sessions, right? That ain't an accident, right? But like, we enjoy each other's company, and I'm always challenged to do better work as a result of, interacting with you. It ties into the last question about quality work as well, but it's friendship. Gallup makes a point that if you have friends, there are things you will consider that you wouldn't otherwise, right? If it's just a sort of a scientific business transactional relationship, I'm probably not going to go out of my way to pick up the phone at midnight if you call. But I'd do that for a friend, right? There are choices I would make. There are self-sacrificing choices I would make that maybe don't help my personal career, my personal agenda, that I'm going to do because I've got friends. And the research bears it out. 28% less accidents, 5% more customer engagement, 10% higher profit. This comes all the way back to profitability, believe it or not. So having friends turns out a good thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, a friend, if they're about to do something unsafe, you pull them back. If you don't like anybody at work, maybe you give them a little push.
This is Willy Wonka, right? No, don't stop.
Yeah, don't step on that grate. Oh, that's great. Yeah. So profitability, safety, inventory control, retention, everything goes up.
Yep.
Right. And so, and when you think about it, it just makes sense. If you wake up Monday morning and you think, God, I got to go into work and I hate everybody there.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's, neutral.
I just feel nothing for these people.
Yeah.
And they feel nothing for me.
Yeah. There's no connection with anybody in my work.
Yeah.
Wow. How much harder would it be to go to work
versus,
hey, I get to go to work and I get to catch up with so-and-so, see what happened, what he did over the weekend. And I know he's got my back. So if you want to, one of the things that I know that happened to us is, maybe we shouldn't tell this, but our subgroup of work friends, on some of the projects we were on, we had a group text.
Yes.
And we would text each other, and we continue, even though none of us are on this project, for a couple of years now.
Right. The text is still going.
The text is still going. One of them, a group text from 10 years ago. Where we catch up with those folks.
Yep.
And so, somebody, I think it was a comedian, said, you've got a best friend at work if you would both be fired if anyone saw your private text messages. It's just, now you're sharing the real stuff. Yeah. If you were to show this to anybody, we'd both be fired, right?
Right.
But you trust them and you know them well enough that, they get the spirit in which it's intended, and it goes no further.
Yeah, and I would, I would say that wasn't because the leadership of those projects manufactured us into like being paired up with each other, or this group, you work together. This was, but leadership created some opportunities for us to get to know each other and to share with each other, and that has led to friendships after some shared experiences and shared sharing. But none of this was a manufactured thing. It was pretty organic, as we like to say. It's probably a different podcast. I almost hesitate to even say this out loud. But how does this tie into the concept of the work wife, the work husband?
Ooh.
Don't answer that question, because I feel like we'll go down a gigantic rabbit hole. But I wonder, in what good ways or bad ways might this be connected?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's taking best friend at work to another level.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's a thing, and it's a blessing to a lot of organizations and coworkers. But Anyway.
Oh, yeah. So, and so along with that, looking at what's going on now, I was reading an article. Recent Gallup data shows that having a best friend at work has become more important since the pandemic.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So people are under more stress, and there's a dramatic increase in remote and hybrid work.
I can see that.
So if I don't have friends, if I'm working remote and I don't have friends to, I can ask the really stupid questions.
Yeah.
Hey, were we supposed to turn that in today? Just if I don't have somebody to vent to, to laugh with remotely, then the isolation that I feel going to work where I don't have a connection, that isolation where I don't have a connection and I'm sitting at home and not in general physical proximity of people. What do they call it now? Biopresence. Without that, I feel less engaged, more disengaged, less connected to the company and to the purpose.
So one thing about that is I had a client at the beginning of the pandemic. We were about a year or two in. And, a lot of my coaching clients, once they've played it out, they would prefer to do coaching over the phone. They don't have to worry about what they look like or, making eye contact. They can just have a voice in their head that helps them do some thinking. But I had one client early on, he was like, no, man, I need some FaceTime. I need FaceTime. I've been in this house a long time. So, play that out to the grand scenario of work in general, right? Like if you're feeling beat up, if you're feeling not pressure from, leadership or management per se, but maybe from customers, maybe from just the stress of the job, you need to have somebody there that can help you, come down. So I think it's a big deal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. My daughter got a job and it was 100% remote, including the onboarding. Like she never was, she never met the people that hired her. Like the interview was virtual. The onboarding was virtual. She worked virtually. There was about 40 other people doing the exact same thing.
Yep.
And at some point, she had to form some connections with some people,
right?
Just to survive and to have people who had your back. Hey, don't forget that we got to do this thing, and people who were there for you and supportive of you beyond what was required.
Yeah.
And that was huge. But yeah, she never interacted in person with anybody that she worked with on the entire project.
Well, to recap this concept, I'm part of a big purpose. I'm part of a group of people that do quality work. I'm part of somebody else's life and share life with them. This is all outside of yourself. Part 3 of our overview of Q12. I kind of want to say, just as a teaser, that we're kind of going to go back to an internal focus for the final 2 questions in our part 4. But it's in a very distinct way that a lot of people miss. And I think, Mike, if you don't mind me tooting your horn, I think this is one of your strengths, is to help people see this focus that we're going to talk about next time. And a lot of people miss it, and it will chase away employees. So so don't miss our final episode on this series.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Stay tuned. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button.
Smash it.
Yeah, below.
You can't say that anymore. It's like if you're watching on Apple TV, it's like, oh, wait, scroll up like this with your finger and then tap once you go over 2. It's very complicated. But anyway, however you do it, we love you for doing it. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thanks. We appreciate it. Both of you. Yeah. All right. Biggest fan. Speaking of biggest fans, yep, there's our Mr. Wolf. He's in the announcer booth. Cue it up, baby. Lights on. Take it away, Mr. Wolf.
And there you have it. Another session of contemporaneous extemporizing from Mark and Mike. I know it's redundant, but consider who we're talking about. As always, feel free to share the ideas you heard here. No rights are reserved, no permissions needed. Thanks. See you next time on It Doesn't Take a Genius.